Good morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you might be in the world. My name is Tyrone Siren. I'm in the uh, uh, investment migration department at Holborn Assets. I've been with Holborn for about 3.5 years, and um, really help try to develop the program, give good immigration products to Holborn clients, and try to attract new clients uh, to Holborn and also to find the right fit for them. So today we're going to talk about the EB-5 permanent residency or green card by investment program. Okay, so we'll talk about a bit about Holborn Assets, about residency by investment, the EB-5 program, the benefits of the program, then also about investment opportunities. We'll be joined by our partner at the US Immigration Fund. Jinlan Sheng will discuss her current investment opportunities and how her and her company can help you achieve your American dream. So a bit about Holborn Assets. It's a global wealth management firm. Started in 1998, has about 500 employees around the world, 23 offices, and growing. We have about 20,000 clients, and within the last few years, we decided to make a more holistic kind of life plan for clients. So we're not just an immigration agency, and we're not just a wealth management or financial advisory firm. We try to make a whole plan for you and your family. Because if you plan to relocate to a foreign country, to a new country, it's not only a life decision and an education decision for your children, but it's also a financial decision. And we have a team of people at Holborn that help you make to make a financial plan that makes the most sense for you and your family to immigrate. Although we're going to talk about the U.S. today and the U.S. investment by migration program, Holborn is a full-service immigration company. We offer programs in Europe, such as Portugal, which has been a very popular program the last few years, as well as passport programs in the Caribbean. And also, I think a very popular new program that Holborn is developing, and that's the Dubai Golden Visa. If you'd like to learn more about any of these programs, feel free to contact me or anyone at Holborn Assets, and we can talk through those programs. But today, I'm going to talk about what I think is, one of the best, what I always thought has been the best immigration program. That's the US EB-5 program. So what we also do at Holborn is, again, we are an immigration company as well as a financial advisory. So we help you choose products and investments. We do due diligence on these projects. We have a great compliance and due diligence team in the background that does a fantastic job. We also have a great processing team. And sometimes I think they're the unsung heroes of any company and also of the immigration process. Our back offices, we have experts who processed 1,000 immigration applications and petitions to different countries around the world. They can really help you through the process, and that's critical with any immigration pathway. It's paperwork heavy and government bureaucracy, and working with people who have the experience to help you get through it as smoothly and as quickly as possible really makes a difference. And with our team around the world, we have experience, with your local situation. We have experience with clients from China, Vietnam, India, Lebanon, South Africa. You name it, we've probably had a client from those countries. So we know how to work with your local bureaucracy to obtain documents, as well as with the U.S. government and how to submit those documents. Okay. Now a little bit about the U.S. EB-5 Immigrant Investor Visa Program. It's one of the oldest immigration programs in the world, and it's certainly been probably the most popular over the last 15 to 20 years. I personally started in it 15 years ago in 2008. In fact, I started in it with Jinlan, who's who will be speaking later. So her and I have been working together for about 15 years on different programs and projects. So quite a lot of experience. But I also mentioned that this is an old kind of tried and true program. It's has longevity. It's popular within the U.S. public and within the U.S. government. So it's, I've been in this industry for 15 years. I've seen a lot of countries start immigration programs and close immigration programs. But, EB-5 has been around since 1990. So it's been around for more than 30 years. Tens of thousands of investors have gone through this program successfully. And, I think it's, speaks to the quality of the program and that you can feel confident that you and your family will get through the process quickly. And you can see it's also one of the most popular, or you can see the popularity of the program growing. I started back in 2008 when the program was just kind of taking off, and it went on a really it was like a rocket ship taking off, and then around 2017, 2018, there were around 14,000 EB-5 visas issued, and I think even thousands more applications and petitions submitted. You can see there was kind of a drop off in 2021. It wasn't a drop off in demand. It was that the U.S. government closed the program down for a little while to kind of remake it, and I think actually they improved it dramatically. So they started the program again in 2022, and just in case you're searching around the internet and you see some conflicting information, the biggest change to the program in 2022 was they increased the price. Previously, the price had been 500,000 USD investment into a new commercial enterprise in the U.S. Starting in March 2022, they raised the price to 800,000. So that's something to keep in mind if you're going around on the internet and you find an old web page that maybe has 500,000. Just so you know that in March 2022, the price was raised to 800,000. And again, you can see how the popularity is taking off once again. And I think this past year, talking to friends and partners who do a lot of EB-5 business around the world, this is probably set to be one of the biggest years ever for EB-5. All right. Now, what makes EB-5 such a popular program? I mean, besides it's America. I mean, America's kind of an exciting place. A lot of opportunities and a lot of nice locations and beautiful scenery. But what really makes the EB-5 program popular is that there are not a lot of requirements for you as a family. There's the only requirement is that you have, the hardest requirement is that you have to have 800,000, and you have to be able to show where you made this money. You simply can't just have cash and send it to America. We have a team of specialists and lawyers who will help you do what they call source the funds, and to make sure they've been lawfully obtained. So this just means that did you make the money through salary? Do you have a high-paying job, and over the last 5 to 10 years you've saved $800,000? Did you sell a piece of real estate? Did your grandma give you money? As a gift. That happens a lot with younger people or students that their parents or grandparents will gift them funds. So that's really on your side the only real requirement. What that $800,000 has to do is create 10 new jobs for Americans, and this is critical. And this is why having a good partner like Jinlon at the US Immigration Fund is critical, because they will manage your money and they will create the jobs for you. So EB-5 is a passive investment. You simply make an investment. Your partners at US Immigration Fund will manage your money, manage the investment, and also make sure that the jobs are created. Now, I oftentimes get questions like, well, can I just buy a house in the US? The answer is no, because again, it has to be invested to a new commercial enterprise that creates jobs for Americans. So we have to say that the investment must be at risk. Now, this doesn't mean that the investment has to be risky. It just means that you cannot just invest directly into an asset and own an asset. You have to take a chance. And I think this is a very American way of doing things too, is that they want you to think entrepreneurially when you come to America. Okay. Again, so as I said, there's not a lot of requirements for EB-5. You and your spouse, your unmarried children under the age of 21, could come on a family package. You don't need an employer to sponsor you. Basically, anyone can apply. You don't need to speak English. You don't have to have a business background. There's no minimum education background. Basically, it's just, again, you have to have $800,000 lawfully obtained. Now, one of the most interesting things when they kind of reopened the program and kind of revamped the EB-5 program in 2022, they did a few things besides just raise the price. They actually made the program better. And I rarely say that. I rarely say that governments make immigration programs better. But this is one of the cases when they really did. So for some of you out there who might have children studying in the U.S., or you might be working in the U.S. on an H-1B visa, this is exciting. What you're allowed to do now is when you submit your I-485 adjustment of let me back up. Once you submit your initial EB-5 I-526 petition, you're able to adjust your status if you're living in the U.S. already. When you adjust the status, you're going to be receive the right to work in the U.S. without being sponsored by an employee. You can study in the U.S. You can travel in and out of the U.S. And if you're a university student and you're graduating, you can start looking for work. You're not going to have to worry about a work visa. So this is quite exciting because in the past, what happened was that, if you're a university student, for example, you graduate, and even if your family has, given you money to apply for an EB-5, you'd usually have to return to your home country and wait, and that could have 1, 2, 3 years before you got an application approved, and that would really set people's life plans back. Or if you were an H-1B holder, you're a tech worker. Sometimes those visas would run out, and you'd have to return to your home country, or your employer would not want to sponsor you any longer, and so you'd have to return home. So with H-1B, you were tied to a job. This allows freedom for students, for H-1B holders. It gives them the freedom to make decisions in America and start building a life in America almost immediately when they submit the EB-5 petition, so that you no longer have to wait. Now, the other good news is that the waiting time is not near as long as it used to be. We're seeing petitions approved in 12 months or less, whereas before it might take 2 or 3 years. So when they opened up the program again in 2022, they kind of cleared out, they started a fresh line, I should say. And, so everybody going in today is in a fresh line, and, processing times are, again, taking about 12 months, which is pretty amazing. Think about the fact that even if you're applying from Vietnam or from South Africa, you could probably, start today and have an approval and be able to travel to the U.S. in about a year. If you're a student or working in the U.S. already, you're going to have all the benefits, most of the benefits of a EB-5 green card in just a few months. So this is really exciting news. It's probably one of the fastest and most efficient immigration programs in the world now. So it's just something to keep in mind. What does a permanent residency or a U.S. green card get you? I should take a break here and just say that, often I've probably already done it, interchange green card and permanent residency. The EB-5 visa provides you with U.S. permanent residency, which is just that, it's permanent. With permanent residency, again, you can live, work anywhere in the U.S., study anywhere in the U.S., travel in and out of the U.S. Freely, and it gives you a direct pathway to U.S. citizenship in 5 years. Now, oftentimes people call permanent residency the U.S. green card. That's just kind of the casual name for it because it's a little green card, or was a little green card that people carried around kind of like an ID card. So, but I think casually now everyone just calls this a green card, but that means permanent residency. Now, I think you probably know a lot about the U.S. You probably watch a lot of Hollywood movies, and you know a lot about the U.S. for better and for worse. But one of the major benefits, I think, for EB-5 is that typically we see it's a family visa. If you're out there watching this, you probably have children, and you're probably thinking about your children's education and perhaps sending your kids to America to study. Now, as a permanent resident of the U.S., you can qualify for local state tuition. So, if you're living in California, you could attend the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, or University of California, Berkeley, at local tuition prices, which is saves approximately $20,000 to $25,000 a year in tuition. So that's about $100,000 over for one child over the course of 4 years. If you have 3 or 4 children, you can save $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 on tuition alone, which really justifies the EB-5 investment. As well as for students, then they will also qualify for some government grants, student loans, and just in general have an easier time applying to a lot of universities as a local student. Also, with the U.S., you get as a permanent resident, you get all the benefits basically as a U.S. citizen. You have the right to health care, you have to start your own businesses, you can work anywhere, and you can enjoy retirement benefits, and so it's really, and then also be on pathway to U.S. Citizenship. Now, importantly, it's very important to remember that this is not a donation. These are investments. It's typically about a 5-year investment period. So you invest $800,000 in 5 years, you'll be receiving your $800,000 back. So that is very important to remember. This is an investment, and we've done a lot of work with our partners, and Jinlon is going to explain about their company and their background. They've helped thousands of families through the process and have repaid thousands of families their initial investment. Okay, just briefly, a little bit about the process, just a bit of detail. I don't want to go too much into it today because I want to really let Jinlon shine and talk about the exciting investment opportunities that she has. But if today you decided you wanted to sign up for EB-5, you sign an agreement with Holborn Assets, and that would just basically say the services that we're going to provide. And Holborn's going to help you gather all of your documents. We're going to work with the lawyers and all the necessary parties. We're going to help you build a financial plan as well as an immigration plan. Typically, before we submit your EB-5 petition, I'd say usually takes about 3 or 4 months for most families to kind of organize their money, gather up all the documents, and for the attorneys to prepare your case. So it's going to take about 3 or 4 months from if you started today to us filing your what's called an I-526E. That's the initial EB-5 processing paper. So after that, it's about 6 months to 1 year before that form will be approved, and that's really a big deal to get approved. Once that's approved, we make an appointment at your local U.S. consulate, which can take a few months for most people. You go to the U.S. consulate with your family. You have a short interview. They ask you, about your EB-5 investment and a few other questions, and then you're off then you have 180 days to travel to the U.S. So really, you're looking at less than certainly less than 2 years from start to actually being able to land in the U.S. as permanent residents. Now, one of the requirements of EB-5 is that, as I've been saying, that it has to be invested, it has to create jobs. So the money your investment has to be held for about 2 years, at least 2 years. And after 2 years after your initial approval, you have to file another form to show that your money's still invested, jobs have been created. And again, Jinlon and the lawyers will work with you to make sure that all this is done, so you don't have to worry too much about it. So after 2 years, we file what's called I-829, and that's also called removal of conditions. So that means once you've shown that your money has been invested, you created jobs, they give you a full unconditional green card, And then, if you choose, after 5 years from your initial approval, you can apply for citizenship, or you can just maintain your green card or permanent residency and keep your Indian passport or your Lebanese passport. And that's about it. And then within about 5 years, as Jinlong will explain, they will return all the initial investment as well. So we try to kind of package the whole process up into about a 5 to 6 year process, including immigration and investment period. So in 5 years, you should be completely through the process. You can be a U.S. citizen. You and your families can be a U.S. citizen if you'd like, and you'll have your money back. All right. Now with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jinlong. She's going to discuss one of their current investments and some of the exciting ways that they help you get the money to invest, or help you file the application and some of the different opportunities. So let me turn it over to her now, and then at the end I'll kind of summarize things, and we can talk about how you can work with your financial advisor at Holborn, and if you'd like a personal conversation with me or Jinlong, we can make appointments for that. All right, Jinlong, if you would like to take over.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Stop sharing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I think it's good afternoon in Dubai and mostly Asia area. And thank you very much for Holborn and Tyrone to organize this webinar for us, because I think since our partnership, I've been talking with some advisors, and EB-5 seems like it's still not the most familiar products to a lot of people. So I think it's great that we're able to be here to, discuss the basics about the EB-5 and the process and everything. And usually, the conversation before I start with any potential investor who has the intent to immigrate to the United States, right? I would ask them this very first question is like, are you sure the United States is your destination? Because in the US Immigration Fund, especially for me personally, this is my first and only job. So I started as a sales girl to do the marketing, to connect with investors and everything. So after 13 years, right now I'm the managing director of the company. We manage around close to 6,000 investors as of today. But what's most important thing for me is have those established personal relationship with every single investor, right? So when you see them, and when Tyrone discussed about the history about the EB-5, and while around 90% of our investor is from China, we know there's ups and downs. There's a period of time everybody want to jump into EB-5, and then the waiting list occurred. So for us, we pretty much seen every single situation that could have happened in your whole EB-5 process. And I think that's important. So come back to my first question. It's like, are you sure the United States is your destination, or North America even, right? So if the answer is yes, this is what I want to do, then I would tell you there's no other program that is better than EB-5 for you to achieve your green card purpose. Okay, so let me back out a little bit, because how a lot of investors is like, okay, number one, I confirmed my intention to migrate to the United States. Number two, I looked through my capital, through my assets. I found, okay, EB-5 is durable. This is something I would love to do. Obviously, $800,000 in today's not unstable world, it is a lot of money to put into for a long period of time, right? Even we're talking about 3 to 5 years, it's still you lock your money for a period of time. But the most important return for you is your green card for your whole family, that is number one priority. And number two, it comes down to how to secure my money, how at the end of the term of the loan, I'll be able to get my money back. And that associate with many different factors. So number one, what I want to say is about the people who you work with. I think it's just like in any kind of business, the people who you work with is the number one priority, right? So like I said, we have so much experience in doing the EB-5, and we've been through EB-5 from 2009 and through 2013, pretty much from the like every single different point of the EB-5. So we do know what could happen on the immigration side. And we also know from 2008, there was another financial crisis at that moment, and going to the boom globalization. And right now we're at this very point of 2023, right? We're through pandemic, obviously. And how to secure a fund, what kind of project to look for is more recession-proofed project to protect your investment, no matter what happens. And even though there is anything happen to the project, how you navigate through the process to be side by side by our investor would be the most important things to think about for the investor. And a lot of investor would be jump into the project instead. Okay, I think that's kind of misunderstanding, and that's wrong to do, because obviously you jump into any great projects, you have a lot of great selling points and everything, you get carried away, right? That's not the right thing to do. So first of all, start with the people you work with, and then you see the track record of this company, you see their experience, and then number two is comes to the partner as well. Like Holborn is a global company, international company, unlike some small people, or unlike my lawyer friend introduced me this project. There's much less stuff on them for the reputation, right? But for a company as Holborn Assets, they has to choose their project wisely to protect their reputation globally. They're not going to sacrifice for one EB-5 investor to lose their investment, to do not successful in their migration process just for this. It just doesn't worth it. So it's the same for me. So when you choose the right team to work with, you'll find a huge difference. The professionalism, the fluence, the smooth of your whole immigration process. So obviously we have done close to 24 projects right now. And I think our biggest character is we tend to work with New York City multi-billionaire kind of family type. Because I think it's the same reason for us. We want to choose the right people to work with, right? Like the Kushner's family, like the Durst family who built the One World Trade Center, like the Wyckoff Group, like the Fisher Brothers. So those families, they carries big names for their family, okay? So when they reach those status, they're searching for legacy, right? They're never gonna fail a project for the EB-5 reasons, especially families like the Kushners. Even though they don't talk about anything, they would be on the news, right? So they had to, and there's more media attention, there's more audience is watching exactly what they do to make sure they set the example for the whole industry. So when you work with those people, you tend to have more successful rate. So we do have those projects. The Kushner project, 65 Berry Street, at that time we paid investor back in 3 years. Okay, they try to keep their leverage very low, so to protect their own assets. They don't tend to flip their assets. They keep their assets for a long period of time to ensure its success. So I think right now, because of our experience, we kind of also have a massive operation system over here at the USIF is because for years, because obviously when you have holds close to 6,000 investors, you're pretty big in the industry. So a lot of people is watching you as well as the government, as well as the SEC, right? When they pay more attention to you, they did site visits and everything to our office as well. They go through every single of our documents as well. And we're not, scared or anything. We're able to present to them exactly how we operate, from accounting, from investor relations, from everything. So those factors are very significant, because when Tyrone said last year, the new law just came in 2022, we actually lead the legislation go into that direction for more integrity. Okay, so they kind of put our practice to enforce each regional center. They kind of has to operate in that manner to protect the investor. If you are lower than that level, you cannot do so. You cannot stay in the business. And also on the migration side, we have a team of immigration attorney. The whole team within USIF is extremely familiar with, up to date immigration litigation, legislation, process, and everything. On the other hand, we have a whole different team and third party, like a reporting management as well. We have people to go to New York City on the project to do the site visit on monthly or quarterly basis. We review all the construction budgets, and we review the spendings. We want to make sure each dime of the investor's money is actually spent into the project to create jobs. Only in that way, you'll be able to get your 526 approved. You'll be able to get your 829 approved, right? I want to, share a story. I think the storytelling is easier to make people understand. So we know as of today, if you talk about 5-6 years ago, USCIS is not as strict for the investor in the 829 stage. We all know 829 is called the removal of the condition. So at that stage, you don't need to show any investor source of fund or anything. You just kind of review the project was successful, was built as it is, the job has created. Yes, so you get your 829 approval. But from last year, we figure that actually the USCIS paying more attention to the project. They want to have your bank statement, has the transactions to showing each dime was how spent into the project. And as you know, there is a long, waiting list for the Chinese investors. So we did this project with Kushner in 2013. We successfully raised money. The Kushners paid us back in 2017, around 3 years after the project started construction. The project should be very successful and finished. However, our investor was still in the process of getting their 829 approval. So I think early 2022, they sent us an RFE with a huge long list of requests of documents to show the bank statement, to show everything. I don't know if it's targeted because it's Kushner's family. I don't know if there's any reason. So we reviewed everything. We jump on the phone with the Kushner's company on daily basis. So if a regional center is just a lender, and they have zero control over the developer, you cannot make sure your EB-5 process is successful. Most of the regional center, they do one project and they're done. They're done. And then once the project pays you back, how you get hold on to a huge developer to make sure you have all those documents. But for us, it was in the agreement that we have with them. It's in the personal relationship. Also, they care as much as we do for the immigration investors' success in their migration, right? So we spend months and months to dig out of those bank statements like from 10 years ago. The bank keep your records for around 7 years usually. We got everything, and now every single investor is getting approved. Everybody is very happy. So those are like small but detailed, but like typical great example of how this different us. Okay. And in the very stage as of today, in 2023, the world changed, right? After pandemic, I don't know if we're actually in the World War III, right? Hot wars in cold places and cold wars in big places. So we increase our screening system for the project. We give extra layer, right? We started, because the world is changing every single day. We start like a due diligence process probably years ago, like 1 year ago, before we launch a project into the market. And then we do it again before we actually make the loan to the developer to make sure the investor's money is best to its protection at our best ability. This is the only thing we can do to protect the investor. And lastly, I want to say is another thing different as is like we have a team of whole customer service team is around 10 people, and they are working with us since 2013 also. So their only job would be to reporting and support our investor to make sure they get the first-hand information on the project anytime they want to, get their first-time information whenever they have a concern or question on their immigration process. So I think this is significant because EB-5 or any migration is a long journey. It takes time, it takes patience, right? So we want to make sure, good or bad, we're along your side to accompany you for the whole journey. And the investor, I did this with Tyrone 13 years ago on the Hopside project. The investor called at that, like back in 2009. Now they call back to the office. They can still find me to talk to, which I know their case. I know the project through and through, so I can answer all of their questions. So this is how you build and snowball your client base and keep on rolling. And I hope like everything that USIF has to offer can assist Holborn assets to grow your client base, kind of like two great brands combined together to serve our clients better. Yeah, so that's pretty much about us. I think it's important for me to spend more time about who we are, what we do, how we do things. And then if you choose the right people, it's very difficult to get wrong, right? And then project comes next. I think everybody take a little break, and I'll just show you a video of the very Pier Village Phase 5 project. Okay. Yeah. So I think in the video, everybody can see the whole area is already fully developed. So this is called Pier Village. So this is like a major development that Kushner family has been owning and developing through the decade. Okay. And then you can see in the video like the hotels, the rentals, the retails, a lot of them is already open. So this hotel Wave Resort has been extremely successful, and they're making a lot of returns over the COVID, especially because it's kind of like a staycation location for the people around Manhattan, Brooklyn, and New Jersey. And it's right next to the beach, so it's very pleasant to visit. So they decided to add more to the hotel rooms. So right now there's 67 keys, and now they're gonna build another, it's called Wave Spa Hotel of 107 keys. So our money, the investors' money, will put into the Wave project. The location of the project is located, it's called Long Branch. It's a historical, pretty wealthy area in the whole New Jersey area. It's about an hour to New York and 1.3 hour to Philadelphia. So every single year it has around 2.3 million visitors. Okay, so as you can see, this is the latest phase of the hotel, and kind of put the last cherry on the top to make sure the project is complete for the whole Pier Village. So for this project is one of the Kushner's family. Kushner's family has been like around over 40 years business in the industry, and their portfolio was over $15 billion. And I think the number is growing. Okay, so they did a bunch of multifamilies and everything. They own the real estate throughout the whole United States. So in the project, the developer is putting $21 million of cash equity into the project. And they also as I gave the example earlier in my presentation, they are a great partner of EB-5 because they understand that. They did this with us on the 65 Bay Street, which was extremely successful, that all the investors is getting their they are about or already achieved their 829 permanent residency, and they got paid back. The project is capitalized. We have a senior financing, we have EB-5, and then developers equity. And to be honest, as of today we're speaking, the whole EB-5 portion is pretty much fully financed as well. So we're at the very end of closing on this project as well. So like I said, after you choose the right partner to work with into any project, and then you come down to analyze a project. Analyzing a project is based on many different factors. Of course, first of all, the developer did a full analyze. If they are good people, they have experience in the industry, they're not going to jump into any project that would not make money at all. And they're so experienced, they've been probably through many different versions of recession as well. So they do understand what kind of property, what kind of asset class is most recession proof, right? That's number one. And number two, it comes to USRF. Upon receiving every single document from the developer, then we will be able to analyze if the project actually makes sense. That will become to our second layer of the project to decide to move forward. And number three, then we usually do not make any loan until the senior financing is in place. So usually the senior lender has to do another layer of due diligence, feasibility analysis of certain project to make sure it's feasible before they put a big chunk of money into the project, right? So that's what we do to make sure that the project is solid before we actually present that to the whole market. And then after we launch the project, after we finance the project, we will keep on monthly, daily basis, there's a whole team in communication, close communication with the development team to get our data for job creations and to monitor the project is on a good process to ensure the project will have completion guarantee, then those are all the major factors to make sure you can get your money back in the end and to get your green card successful. I think last but not the least is this project. Actually, we do offer a financing program. It's suitable for a lot of different investors, right? And Tyrone mentioned before, like the new legislation, the most attractive thing is called concurrent filing. So while you hold a H-1B, while you are in the unstable job market in the United States, or you are about to graduate, you are in your OPT, this is a great program for you, because even for some people, you don't want to put a lot of cash at risk. And I think our rates is very attractive because it's called the $300,000 unsecured loan. We don't charge any origination fees. We don't have any hidden fees, unlike other regional center. There's no default interest, no prepayment penalties, and any at all. So if you're interested, or client is interested, they still can explain only $500,000 clearly, or many different ways. We're very flexible on this manner to provide different passes for the investor who have their EB-5 need, who want to immigrate to the United States through the EB-5 path. Yeah, I think that's it. So I am happy to stay here. And of course, after the webinar, anybody, any advisors, clients, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to jump on a personal Zoom call. I'll be more than happy to have a personal communication consultation with you to ensure you have very successful journey on EB-5. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Jinlan. I think you did an excellent job of explaining why USIF is such a good partner. I think everyone on this webinar right now is probably pretty sophisticated in business and investment, and they know that probably the most important part of any investment and business partnership is the quality of your partner and the track record of your partner. Your group USIF is without a doubt, I think it's has been an EB-5 longer than most anyone, has certainly processed more investors than any other EB-5 regional center. So I hope everyone at for our financial advisors out there, our clients out there, take a good look at USIF. Realize that this is a company that's been in business for a long time and is going to be in business for a much longer time and be able to guide you through the process. Along with Holborn Assets. Holborn Assets too is the global institution, and we're here for the long time as well. We have a few questions, and I'm going to just kind of answer them all at one time, because there's a couple good. Well, they're all very good questions, but one of the main things I want to just point out again about EB-5 is that why it's been such a popular program is it's flexible. So there's not necessarily a set amount of time that you have to spend in the U.S. once you're you've been approved for the permanent residency. Although it's usually suggested you visit the U.S. and you set up, you express intent to be a permanent resident and establish permanent residency in the U.S. But there's no strict rule or regulation that says you have to spend this many days per year in the U.S. And again, you can take your family, you can travel in and out as you'd like. There's really very few requirements. That's why it really fits the needs, I think, of global citizens. We're probably the majority of the people on this call. Is that it's not a permanent relocation or a job program. You do have that flexibility. So, and more than anything, because this is such a big financial investment and life decision, please talk with your financial advisor, speak with someone at Holborn, because we can help not only with the immigration process and choosing really excellent, EB-5 projects, but also kind of with a long-term financial plan for you and your family and your finances. With that, I think we'll wrap this up. Please feel free to reach out to me, Jinlan, anyone at Holborn Assets, and we can set up a private meeting to discuss your particular situation and figure out the best way for you and your family to get on the pathway to the American dream. Have a very good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you may be at, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye-bye.